Live. So, welcome everyone to this afternoon session. We are now with Karan Dehghani, a good friend of mine. I hope I can call you a good friend.
Sure, of course.
You still can.
Yeah.
You can. Yes. So, we are finalizing the second week of this 4-week acceleration program. Feedback has been great so far. The live stream sessions have been exciting. And the startups have all been through basically 5 grueling days, 5 tough days of mentor sessions, receiving both positive and negative feedback, trying to collect as much as possible from the mentors. And now is the time to get this feedback in place and build yourselves forward towards the demo day, which will happen on May 21st.
Okay.
We hope to get over 100 investors tuned in to watch your pitches. And we brought here Karan now, who will introduce himself. I don't know anyone better than him to actually give you guys feedback on your presentations. Karan has seen thousands of companies. He's had his own company and a few exits also from there. So please, Karan, the floor is yours. Tell us what we're going to do today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me and for the kind words. So I wouldn't put myself on such a high position regarding the feedback I can give you, but what I will certainly do is share my experience I had in the past. So maybe my background. I started my first company late 90s. It was a very simple e-commerce shop in Germany, and we sold gifts. And today it sounds a bit boring, but back then it was quite new, and it wasn't called a startup. It was just called a GmbH. And so we just built a company and sold it in 2001 to Metro AG, which you probably all know. And from there on, I have been part of many ventures. Some have been successful, some not at all. And today I'm a co-founder of a company called CodeDoor. And what we do is we help basically underprivileged people around the world to learn coding and find a job. And you might ask, okay, what does this guy know about pitching and about how we can present ourselves? And the basic answer is that I have worked for venture capitalists that have shown me the applications from the startups they have received. And I have somehow, I think, picked up what they might want to hear. And also, I have been numerous times a member of the startup school by Y Combinator, and they have shown us a lot what you can look after when you pitch. And the thing I've learned, in particular from YC, is that there are basically 3 major questions that investors are looking for when you first talking to them. And I've put these questions into the chat room. And when we go now through each of the startups, I would kindly ask the other startups to go through the questions, answer them frankly, and just note them in an email. And you can send it either to me or to Ram. And the first question is very simple. It's, do I understand what the startup is doing? And I think that's very, very critical regarding when you talk to investors, because I did this a lot wrong myself, that you're trying to be too complicated because you have so much on your mind and your product can maybe solve so many things that you want to convey all this complexity. And this is exactly the wrong way, because most of the startup investors, they hear a lot of pitches, of course, per day. You can imagine that even if you have only 2 startups being presented to you per day, this can take up a lot of volume in your head. And you just want to hear very quickly what the startup is doing, and you want to understand it right away. So that's a very important question. And the other part, of course, is the question, are you excited about the idea? Just put yourself in the shoes of the investor. If you want to give someone money, you don't want to, even though you understand the idea, you want to be excited about it, right? You want to be, you want to be part of the team, you want to be part of the product, and you want to bring something alive, which is great. And it's the funny thing is, and I'm terrible at this myself, I cannot convey our idea in an exciting way, the Kotor idea, right? So, and I trained and I trained and I trained, and there are members of our team who are way better than this than I am. So I give it to them. When we pitch, I tell, for example, Farid or Nora or whoever is part of our team, please, you go and present this because they are way more better in getting the excitement across. So that's the second question. And the third question is, but I already included it in the what I said before. Am I excited about the team as well? Would I love to work with them? Because you can imagine having an investor on board is like being married to someone. You will go through a lot of stuff, good days, bad days, of course, and you just want to have someone on your side which you trust, and they think the same way, right? And investors are very, very good at smelling bullshit, So whatever you do, is try to be as authentic as you are. Of course, don't exaggerate, but don't undersell yourself as well. And all these points you just have to train. And maybe this is a good day today to start so and do so. And I can tell you right now, all the famous startups, Facebook, Google, PayPal, the difference between them and you might only be, let's say, 7 or 8 years, right? That's the only difference if you do it right. They have not been in a different spot than you are today. So yeah, maybe to give you some enthusiasm and energy to pitch today. Yeah, and the last thing I would like to ask you is, if you listen to your colleagues, just write down the 3 key points that you have remembered from the pitch that they gave, because these are most likely going to be the points that the investor will also remember, right? So yeah, enough of my side. We're here because of the startups. As I mentioned, yeah, if you have more questions regarding what I have learned, let's say by Startup School, don't worry to email me. I will put my email into the chat room later. Yeah, and happy to talk and give you feedback further after the presentation today. So I would kindly ask the first team to start.
Very good. Karan, excellent intro. Thank you so much. As Karan mentioned, please, you are all here to help us work on this. Answer those 3 questions, write them down, shoot me an email or shoot it to Karan. And also the second part, what were the 3 key takeaways or the key things you remember from the pitch? Correct, Karan? Excellent.
Exactly. Yes.
Great. So yeah, let's take notes, guys. And the first company is Engrave. Ruben, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ram. Here it comes. Can you see my screen? The big one, just saying Engrave?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Ruben Merre. I'm co-founder and CEO of Engrave. And I would actually like to start off my pitch with a story about something terrible that happened to a good friend of mine. So 3 years ago, he raised a lot of money for his company through an ICO, initial coin offering. And in 2017, he opened the smart contract balance on which you could find the balance of all the funds, and it was empty. And the day before, it said 44,000 Ethereum, or it's the equivalent of $10 million. And you can imagine the shock he had at that moment inside of him. But what he did in the next hours, and that's the most important part of the story, is he partnered up with a group of white hat hackers. They figured out what the hack was all about, and they actually attacked 500 other projects and stole over $200 million from these projects. And they did that to give that money back to them and to basically protect them from the bad hackers. And that good friend of mine, today, he's the CTO of Engrave. And you can imagine that based on stories like that, which we also had from our side as founders, we are really passionate about security right now. And therefore, we decided to come together and enable you as a user or a business to take secure ownership and control of what is yours, of your cryptocurrencies, of your digital assets. And I would like to go back just one bit on okay, 2 years ago, security was a problem, but is it still today? And if we look at 2018, when we started, we had a record number of $2.5 billion stolen in cryptocurrencies. 1 year later, at the end of 2019, we clocked $4 billion, crushing the previous record. So increasing size and frequency of hacks. And that brings me to what is now the root cause of this problem. And the root cause, every single crypto hack can be brought back to one single thing, and it's the theft of a private key. And the private key is your secret access key to your crypto wallet. And the beauty about it is it's completely paradoxical, because if you do not know my private key, you can never brute force it. It's impossible, even with the biggest computer that you would have today in the market. And on the other hand, if you just look over my shoulder and you see my private key on my computer, you don't need to crack it. You just need to find it. And that's the big problem today. Cryptocurrency private keys are completely mismanaged. So back in 2018, the three of us came together and we told each other, what is the one solution that we would entrust with our very first to our very last Bitcoin with? And we would say, we are certain it's safe. And we couldn't find the answer. So what we did is we built it ourselves. We built the first end-to-end solution with which you can finally, first time in history, start truly owning what is yours. So what did we do? We built, first of all, this beautiful device here on the left, which is a hardware wallet. So it's a physical device that in our case works completely offline. There is no USB involved. There are no network connections involved, but you can create your private keys on this device. You can manage your cryptocurrencies on this device, and you never need to connect it. So there are zero remote attack vectors. A hacker cannot steal anything. And in case you would lose this device, the status quo is a piece of paper. People write down their private keys on paper in case they would lose it on another place. We invented the first encrypted metal backup so that it withstands a house fire, but also if somebody finds it, they have zero information on your key. And as a third part of our ecosystem, we have an app, and this app actually caters for the last mile communication with the blockchain, and it interacts with our Zero, so our hardware wallet on the left, through simple one-way QR codes that never contain data on your private key. And this is also one of the most important and crucial parts of the solution. We can plug and play in saying we take this part out and we put your cryptocurrency exchange and link it to our wallet, or we put your favorite mobile app with 2 million users, we link it to our app, and that way we believe we also have a unique way of growing the business. As a team, we are three of us well versed in the crypto space. We have quite a big network in it, and we actually come from very different backgrounds. Like I said before, Xavier is the CTO. He has been in crypto since 2013. I come more from a fintech, a general management entrepreneur background, and Edward comes from a mixed background. And we understood that to build the best solution in the world, which was our goal, we needed to partner with the best partners in the world. So we actually went out and we approached IMEC, world leader in nanotechnology, and they, after our pitch and after seeing us work for a couple of months, they asked us, can we co-develop this with you? So today we built everything from scratch, even the circuitry board, together with one of the world leading players in nanotechnology. And obviously we're talking about a security device. So we looked for the best partner on the level of cryptography and hardware security, which we found in COSIC, who is currently leading the NIST competition for the advanced post-quantum cryptography standard. We have many more partners like that, but I would say these are two of the most important ones. And all of that, in my opinion, positions us quite well for a market that is almost out there for the taking, and a market that is expected to grow times 40 from only a couple of hundreds of $1 million today to $9 billion in 5 years from now. And that really comes from an underlying driving force being all these digital assets that are moving to blockchain technology, and that all have the same problem, the private key that needs to be kept secure. That drives the demand for our market. And so if we think about why would our solution be perfect to capture market share? Well, we actually offer the best of both worlds. We have extreme security combined with an easy, intuitive touchscreen experience that is completely offline. So you have another level even of peace of mind when you're using this device. And we believe, therefore, that we can reach 10 to 30% of this market, which would put us at $1 to $3 billion in sales in the next 5 years, which would be huge. And that's also why we try to have a look at it from a conservative perspective. And I kind of blurred a bit out some of the numbers, but I believe we can reach 100 million in the next 5 years, which would be only 1% market share. And this slide here, I took out all of the numbers, but normally here I talk about how we are structured today. What is our, let's say our financial situation, and then on what we actually want to do. But what's most important here is to build something like this. You need to be working with the best teams you have, and it takes you 18 to 24 months because it's extremely difficult. And we are the only ones right now that are doing this. So we actually have a huge advantage there. And at the same time, we want to raise money now so that we can keep and consolidate that advantage. So what do we want to do with this? Which milestones we want to reach? Well, first of all, we just have our final product, and we are going to market it in 2 weeks. We will be live. People will be able to buy this on Indiegogo because we start with the B2C market. And by October, we will be basically shipping this worldwide. And the idea is to grow into the B2B segment over time, because we believe that is where the recurrent money is, that is where the big money will be, but it is not today. Today, the money comes from the B2C segment. So we kind of have to take a detour through B2C, which obviously is also a big market.
You're already over the 7 minutes, heading towards 8 minutes. So try to wrap it. We need to get it to 5 minutes for the demo day. Continue.
Sure. So basically, that is my story. And I think that we are actually introducing something entirely new that hasn't been possible until this date. And that is, you can actually start truly owning your assets. If you think about banks, it's not possible. If you think about crypto exchanges, that's not possible. It is what we make possible. And that's just the message I want to give.
Karan, you're on mute.
Thank you so much. So I truly like the detail that you seem to have about your product, right? You know a lot about it to put it into plain words, which is awesome. And I truly loved what you did in the beginning, that you explained how or why you even thought about doing what you currently pursue. Maybe for the presentation, you could think about how to strip this down, in particular regarding the slides. You have to imagine that investors, when they listen to you and they look at the slides, they tend to wander off, like every human does once in a while, and they need to be able to get back onto the slides, even though they drift away. And the best way to do so is only to give like maybe 1 word or 2 words or 3 words max on a slide, and give maybe only 1 point you want to get across. And if you work with numbers, just maybe give 1 number, or maybe show a chart which is very easy to understand on the first look. And I know it's a different medium now, doing everything over Zoom and so on, but try to be the focus of attention yourself, right? Because what happens now, of course, if you look at the pitch right now, and it's going to be maybe also on the demo day like that, you will have small images of people's avatars or people's faces on the side, and you have a big screen. So obviously the people will look on the screen, which are the slides. However, maybe when you present online to the investors, you can arrange the Zoom so in such a way that the slides are maybe only half the size of the people, right? And not compared so big to the actual startup founders. Because obviously, as a human, I'm much better inclined to listen to another human than to read all the signs. And this makes it, because it makes it really hard to understand about the points I just mentioned earlier. Like, do we understand what the startup is doing? Yes, maybe I can share my what I got from you, what you're doing. I know you're doing you have a cool idea about securing with a device, which is offline. And I know the market is huge, because obviously security and cryptocurrency is a huge market. And what I want to know, and you also presented this, is why you're doing this and what brings the expertise you have. And what's really important, you need to get across the key metric that you have been working on in the last maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 months, and show that the curve is going up and to the right. And because this is something the investor can work with, and you can talk with them later on. You can say what you already said. well, it's very difficult in this stage, but we overcame this, and it takes about 18 months to reach where we are right now compared to the other market. And these details, I'm sorry, the key number you can present, you can maybe put up a big slide where you say, we are 18 months ahead of the market, which is huge in this area, right? And so don't bury the lead and bring it up, and do it very on point. And another thing I also do wrong all the time, because I have so much things to say, is I speak too fast, right? And yeah, try to speak a little bit slower, and speak so slow that you think, oh, that's way too slow, you know. And then you will see that the people in front of you, they can build up pictures and images in their head, and they can follow you, because obviously the problem you're solving is not an easy one to solve, and I need to understand the steps what you have been working on maybe for the last 18 months or 12 or 6 in 1 or 5 minutes. So give me some time to breathe. You know? But as I mentioned, it's I love this storyline. I think that's great. Think about the metric you want to show, and reduce the slides to a few words.
Any comments, Ruben?
No, I think that's great feedback. And to be honest, for me, this was more like a 10, 12 minute pitch that I didn't have time to cut in half.
Yeah.
So it contains more information than it should. It's more like if you're really one-on-one with an investor, potential investor, that you actually need this kind of detail. So I totally agree with that. This is a bit too crowded, especially for a 5-minute minute pitch. So I think you're totally on the ball there. And it also actually, in fact, affects obviously how fast I speak. Because I know I have 5 minutes for something that needs 10. But so I know it's I think the things you're saying are always the things you have to keep top of mind, being keep it simple, the main messages, and so I totally understand where it comes from. Yeah. What I do maybe the question is, your story can rapidly be 1 or 20% of your whole pitch, of course, if you only have 5 minutes. So do you have any specific takes there?
Yeah, it depends. So what you I think it's yeah, you should watch out if this is a way to maybe convey some facts inside of the story, so you can cut some time off in other parts, I would say that's fine, right? But if it's you don't have to talk too much about it. Don't take it like, if you bury leads of one of the 3 key points, and using too much of the time instead for giving the story, then I would reduce the story. But if you can get the 3 points across with the story, yeah, why not? Yeah.
I would like to add for everybody, the demo day is not an investor meeting. You are not going to close any deal on those 5-minute pitch. So it's basically just to get an investor interested enough to have that one-on-one with you. And then you can go to the full slide deck and dig in. Yeah.
Yep.
And maybe, room for you, since you're doing you're having a technical device startup, you should maybe, I don't know, talk also to investors maybe before the demo day, what the key questions are when they are deciding on investing in a hardware startup, right? Because it's a bit different than maybe some of the startups we see today. Just here the critical points, like how do you deal with logistics post-corona, and so on and so on. Maybe some of these questions, just to have them ready when they ask.
Ruben, that you can use with the email I connected you today. It will be helpful for you.
With Shlomo, you mean?
Yes,
or?
yes, definitely.
All right.
Good. I hope you guys took some notes to help Ruben out.
Help me, guys.
That would be nice to hear your feedback. And we're going to our second startup coin rule. Gabriel and Oleg are here online. Yeah, take it away. You're on mute, guys.
Hello, hi. Thank you very much. We are showing the short version of the pitch. So we have to pitch. Cool. So today, if a millennial want to invest an amount of money, the first thing he does, he goes on the crypto market, he buys and sell cryptocurrencies. And then after a little bit of playing around, he understands that is managed by bots. And that's something that's been acknowledged also by the economists in their issue in October. 90% of Wall Street is managed by investment banks with big trading floors, and that leaves the normal retail investor, normal people like us investing personal finance without a single tool to fight back this issue. Our typical user is someone that has no much time. He does manual investing, but he would like to understand a little bit more how to build smart strategies and also how to build algorithms, even if he doesn't know how to program. And also he wants to take advantage of the volatility of the market. That can create huge opportunities as well, also can constitute a big risk. That's why we came up with the coin rule. We can say if Bitcoin goes down 3%, buy these other coins at this specific price. You can set up several conditions according to volume, price, indicators, and then when you feel comfortable, you can test your strategies also on historical data. So you can see how your strategy will work on a different time frame from the last year in different market conditions. When you feel comfortable, you press play and the bot goes on the market and trades on your behalf. CoinRule at the moment connects with the 10 most famous exchanges, Binance, Coinbase, etc., and actually send the structure to your favorite exchange without touching your funds. So it's super, super safe. Our users are from all over the world, big presence in the US, in the UK, Brazil, but also in emerging markets, big ones like Indonesia. At the moment, we offer an edutainment experience, so education with entertainment. There is some component from the betting, so it's intellectually stimulating, but it's also a smart assistant for you to help you to trade better. And all of this is packaged in a financial inclusion mission. That is basically we help normal people to fight back big banks. That's what is CoinRule today. CoinRule tomorrow, it will also look. I mean, that was one slide that I missed. Our metrics so far are pretty good. It's like we're having 2 million volume per month. We are growing 30% month over month. So at the moment we have 7,500 users that create around 13,000 strategies, and the company actually generates revenues. The revenues grows 10% per month. So now it's like the average is $2,700 per month. We will able to share the data room after the call. So if someone is more interested in this data, they can actually dig in. The interesting fact is that we spent zero marketing so far. So we reached all these users with zero marketing spend because our marketing strategy is based around SEO. We have a proprietary technology that builds automatic landing pages that capture a lot of different keywords. So we can be the first, for some keywords, we can be the first result on the first page of Google for free. These are some metrics. The team is me, myself. I'm a Londoner, been in London for the last 11 years. I come from Italy. I worked in Finland at Nokia and also at MIT in Boston. Always works in innovation labs of HSBC, UBS, where I built a trading platform, and Lloyd's Banking Group as well. At the moment, I'm also mentoring at Google and Virgin Startup. Oleg?
Yeah, my background is in banking, University of Oxford, then worked at Citigroup in London, quit to build my first company, joined an accelerator, met Gabriele and Zdenek, our third co-founder, and then we started CoinRule together.
And Zdenek is our technical co-founder. He was in London. Now he's back in Czech Republic, his hometown, where he is building our tech team. It's 3 engineers in Pilsen, that is 1 hour from Prague. And that means that 3 engineers in Pilsen cost as much as a senior developer in London. It means that our burn rate is very low. This is the full team that also covers our previous investors. We already did a fundraising of 250,000 USD. That was last year. Lead investor was a bank, and also we had 2 Finnish angel investors joining the round. One other element that's very important for us is partnerships with the leading exchanges like Kraken, Binance, and Bitpanda, by which we reach a lot of new users. The roadmap is very exciting. We launched the trading arbiter in January. Now we are working very hard on the back testing functionality, and also the marketplace. The marketplace will expand the ecosystem of rules, so people will be able to rent or sell their own rules, and it's called copy trading in jargon. And that's what will really expand the customer base and will increase the growth. At the moment, we are a SaaS platform, software as a service. We charge monthly subscription, so it's like Netflix, but actually makes you money. And most of the people buys the hobbyist plan, and some of them buys the traders. These are the financial, but I will send the data room so you can dig in a little bit more. Thank you.
Great, 5 minutes, so spot on time.
Okay.
So thank you so much. So yeah, so again, I know that when you're building something, there is a lot of stuff going on. You have what you've shown is pricing and the team in detail and so on. And as Ram said, remember when you do the pitch, you just want to create interest, and you want to get across the key points. And what I loved on your pitch was that you have traction, right? So if this is the key point number one, I would put it right in front of the presentation. For instance, you mentioned that you will be hated by the banks in the future, and you might even start with this in the pitch, because obviously being hated by such a major market is interesting, right? And when you show in the second sentence that you already have traction, and this was awesome traction, then you should show it in the second slide. And then you might think about talking about what the product is in a bit more detail, not too much detail, in a bit more detail. And I love the idea of presenting what background you guys have, but I would also simplify this a lot. Like I would just mention what you said is one slide. We're a group of financial experts with technical background, and maybe show some logos to show where you're from, which are obvious, right? Like MIT, I saw, Google, I remember, and some financial institutions. And and when you have this, I think maybe in the fourth, fifth slide, you should have the investors who are interested in the topic already on your side, right? And also, it might sound like a too much into detail, but try to have the same format and the same colors on every slide, because it will give a better impression, right? And it will take away the confusion of the investor, right? Because colors convey stuff, and if you have one color theme all around your slides, it's way easier to follow, because it could mean something else, right? Yellow could mean something else in red, and so on. So keep it straight. I love the blue background, but just my personal taste. And yeah, and you don't have to show the numbers in detail. You don't have to show the pricing in detail. But what you can do is you can say, with the money you're going to raise, you're going to create such and such revenue, right? I think that's important to see. And you might even get an average pricing from the users you have right now, and you can present this, and you can mention that if the investor is interested, you can of course later go into detail, maybe in a Q&A. I don't know how the demo day is structured, and yeah, and also I know I have an accent myself. In the beginning, when you present it, you really have to watch out your technology. You were cut off a little bit. And obviously, when you pitch, and in the demo day as well, it's not going to happen that someone will say, okay, stop, you're being cut off. So really make sure the technology is working well and you come across crystal clear, because as you hear from my voice, I'm not speaking clearly and I have an accent, right? And so I would need to do it myself as well. So yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Okay.
On the graphic stuff, I will slightly disagree, for the reason that so usually people buys. I mean, I worked as a designer for 15 years, so I mean, I can actually give you guys some tips if you want. But yeah, so basically, we are using blue colors for the more analytical numbers, and the yellow one when there is more engaging communication content. And also, it's when you have multiple colors in a pitch, actually 3+ color, it increased by 30-40% likely that people like you, because people tend to buy colored objects. So
Sure.
there's the typical experiment that's very interesting. Like you put like red candies and then colored candies, and all people prefer colored candies.
Yeah.
So that was the rationale between the pitch. Yeah.
I'm sorry if I came across the wrong way. What I meant was that you can work with colors, right? But it has to look like you did it on purpose, right? And that's what all I meant.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah.
Oh, hear me new.
Any other questions from Coin Rule? Okay.
I had a question on one of the slides where you show the 4 product pricing possibilities. Could you show me that again?
Yes, let me open. Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yeah, so the slide 15. Yeah, voila. I think it would be worth to A/B test one thing, and it's because the psychology of pricing is that they tend to go for the mean. So if you have three offers, they will go for the trader, $59.99. But now you have the starter, which is free, that it's actually messing up that push towards that middle part. So what I think I would do is maybe make the starter thing smaller, like half of the size of the other ones, and let it start from the middle. And then it doesn't count as a full package. And then maybe people will rather go for the trader version if they. It's just an idea.
Great,
I don't know, but if I look at pricing psychology, it's at least something I would test.
Yes, totally. So that's a very good tip. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Ruben, for that additional tip. Okay, let's go to the next one, which is Amon Daniel. I will stop sharing here.
Oh yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, and we can see.
Okay, great. Okay, so my name is Daniel. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of Amen. So 90% of regular banking app users perceive crypto as complicated to use. So what we did, we created a very user-friendly wallet, which is powered by an AI system, which makes cryptocurrencies easy to use for everyone. But what are the features of this wallet? So first of all, our wallet allows users to receive and withdraw cryptos, but also fiat currencies. We believe that cryptos cannot stand on their own, but they need to be integrated with fiat. So at the moment we have euro and we are integrating the pounds as well. We have an in-app exchange, so it's a one-click exchange. So you can convert crypto to crypto and crypto to fiat with one click. And we also have an investment product, which we call Amon Earn. Amon Earn is a kind of a saving account. Users just deposit the cryptocurrency in this saving account, and every week they receive a passive interest in the crypto that they deposited. We are also launching then a card. So we have finally been approved after more than 12 months from our card scheme to release a card in 25 countries in Europe. So users will be able to card from pounds and euro in over 25 countries in Europe. The wallet is also powered by an AI system. The AI system is a kind of add-on as a new section that we are creating to support users' investment, but we will see this a little bit more. We are actually the first wallet in the market where you could actually live off of your interest. So if you have quite a good amount of crypto, you can deposit them in the Earn product, you earn the interest, you convert them, and then you can spend them with our card. And we are also the first wallet which will have integrated an AI system. The AI will be composed by mainly 3 parts. First part is a statistical analysis tool where users will be able to track performances and trends of volatility. The second part will be a risk analysis tool where we will analyze the user portfolio and give them some tips. And the third one is a short-term forecast where users will be able to see short-term fluctuations of the market. So if they want to on them or they want to do some exchanges, they can rely on this part of the tool. We are a live product. You can download our wallet already on iOS and Android, but you also can use it on a desktop version. We have around about 1,500 users. 1,400 of them, they already used our Earn product, our investment product, and we have around about 400,000 euro asset under management. We also have been awarded as a top disruptive company in 2019 at the AI blockchain summit in Malta. This is a slide a little bit for people that think that crypto is is still a niche market. We know that the crypto users are quite a lot already. So according to Cambridge, the users grew from 5 to 46 million from 2016 to 2018. If it keeps growing like this, there will be 800 million crypto users in 2022. Our wallet, so compared to our competitors, we mainly focus on investment and on AI wallet, while most of the crypto wallet in the market, they mainly have a card. So there is not actually many cards around in Europe, but the ones that the competitors that have cards, they just have a card product. They don't have an investment or an AI section in the wallet. Our business model is very similar to a bank model. So we make money from the fees of the withdrawals or from the interest or the card transactions. And this is a little bit of a roadmap or actually is our milestones. So we have been around for 2 years now. In April 2018, we launched an ICO where we raised around about $1.5 million in crypto. We launched our wallet. Then last year in March, we joined another acceleration program, which is backed by one of the largest banks in Hungary. It's called MKB Bank. We raised 225,000 euro from MKB Bank and a business angel. Then we launched our exchange in the Earn product. And this year, we are part of this acceleration, but we are also part of another acceleration, which is called Digital Magics, which is an Italian VC, which is already committing to invest more in our company. And a little bit our short-term milestones and goals. So in Q1 this year, we launched the new KYC and the Euro wallet. We are changing our legal framework for the card release. We have received the approval finally from UnionPay to launch the cards in Europe. We are preparing for the go-to-market. We have got assigned the BIN, which is a number through which we can actually issue cards. We are still working on the AI development and on the card integration. And we're planning Q3 to launch the statistical model and the portfolio management launch of the AI part. Our team is composed by 3 founders. It's myself, a financial background, a financial digital background. I worked for 7 years in insurance companies. Chris is our CTO. He's a full stack blockchain developer. He worked for UBS in Hong Kong and in other startups in London. Jules is a software engineer. He's also a blockchain developer. We also have Sava in the team. He's a legal advisor. He's also our business angel. It comes very handy for us that we have a lot of compliance work to do. We have in the cap table MKB Bank, which is actually MKB FinTech Lab, which is the investment arm of MKB Bank. And we also have this VC Digital Magic, which is based in Italy. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for presentation.
Great. Well, was a bit over, was around 6 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay.
Cool. So as I mentioned before, I'll try to speak as a good part. So what I like is that you have traction, which you have shown, and you had 3 major points, which I liked, and I think you should put more into the front. For instance, you're presenting that the difference or unique selling position regarding your product you have. So the first smart wallet, for instance. And in the beginning, you mentioned that cryptocurrency trading is now easy, right? So you need to decide, I think, which message you want to get across and keep it to that one message and try to be that hook, right? This one message. So just have maybe, I think, the first smart wallet or something like this. Yeah. So the investor understands what the uniqueness is about. And the major part what you should address is, I've seen that you have 1,500 users and you're on the market for 2 years, and you have raised already 1.5 million and 225K in the past. And the investor, of course, will ask, why are they still in an accelerator, right? So what's keeping them from taking off like crazy? Maybe it's the regulations. I don't know, right? Or maybe it's Corona. Maybe I don't know what it is. You need to address this, and you need to show that right now you are on the edge of exploding, right? Because otherwise they might think, okay, this story of accelerators is going on forever, and this is not good for you, right? You have a great product. You seem to have a great team. You have traction. You have money in the bank. You're all set up for growth, and you need to show this. This is, I think, the key thing that you need to address or solve.
Okay, and no, I think it's a good point. It's a good point. Yeah, I mean, there is an answer, for this why we're still in acceleration. Yeah, so first of all, it's compliance reason. To develop this kind of product, it takes much more time than building a marketplace, or let's say it's an easier product, So we had to receive approvals. We waited for actually more than a year. To get this approval, so it takes much long. Anybody that would actually come in the market, it would take probably 2 years for them to build what we have done.
And that's great. So I would put this right in front of the slides, right? To say, okay, it takes usually so and so long, and we are right there. We have all the approvals now. We have money in the bank. We have traction, and now it's time to go. And because what you need to try to reach inside of the investor is the conviction that they cannot let you go, or otherwise they would look like fools, right? So that's what you need to convey. And I think it's, if you have a great asset, because all the competitors who try to rush into your market, they will face the same compliance and regulation issues that you have. And you just need to tell them. Maybe some investors will realize, okay, they have just taken so long because of the regulations, but maybe some just don't think about this, right? So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, thanks. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I would perhaps highlight that instead of you've been in these accelerators, you could say that this Hungarian bank is one of your investors. You've been there for a while with them, and then now you're talking to an Italian VC, basically, and you're working closer with them. But anyway, your answer was good. It's just that not to raise any unnecessary questions during a 5-minute pitch. That's the main thing. Good. Does anybody else have something to add before we go to the next one? All righty. Alex, are you ready? Alex, Unilogin. I don't know if you can hear me. Okay, so yes, Alex?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right.
My connection was stable, so it just switched networks. I hope it's better now.
Okay, let's hope so. Alex is all the way in Brazil, Karan. So.
Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen and we can. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so hi, I'm Alex Fonesani. I'm here representing Unilogin. And it's basically me and my co-founder. Well, I'm from Brazil. My co-founder is from Poland, and most of the team is in Poland. And I've been on the space for a long time. I've been working on Ethereum at the Ethereum Foundation even before the network was launched. I was among the first employees of FDev, which was building it for the Ethereum Foundation. And thanks to that, I've been in a privileged position to be able to see not only launch multiple projects. I launched the first Ethereum wallet, I launched the first Ethereum browser, but I also advised many projects. And what you see when you are advising those projects is that most of them have always the same problems. And it is about acquisition. It is about usability. It is about that experience that the first thing that you're going to lose the 90% of your users that just show any interest in using your app by just asking, hey, can you stop and go download this Chrome extension? Can you download this app? can you do this other thing that is not part of our process? And then often you have other things, which is, can you now go to an exchange and buy Ether and then bring it back and then understand Ether? And that's all very complicated, and you're going to lose most of your users on that. And you can solve that, but it's complicated. And so that's why Unilog exists. We decided that we needed to solve that problem, and not only we needed to solve that problem for ourselves, but we needed to solve that problem in a way that any developer could connect to, could just install or script and be able to use it, right? So what is exactly that blockchain login does? You can imagine as a welcome package for new users. And I think the best way to do it is to show it is the idea that it's an easy way to integrate, it's an easy library that you can integrate in any blockchain app that you're always gonna have, that your users are gonna have to do is connect to it. And when you wanted them to create a new account, all you're gonna ask them is a username. And that's something that we give every single, that's a traditional thing from the Web 2, but it's very rare. On the blockchain, you're usually referred to by a string of hex addresses. Thanks to, and we are giving every single new user a new username, which uses ENS, an open standard that is part of the blockchain of Ethereum. And then the next step is that just using that username, we can already detect, is that you just type your username, and then we can figure out, is that a new user, is that not, are we creating? And if you're creating a new account, then what you're going to do is we are going to connect you to the best way to fund that money. And it can be via card, via bank. We have connections among ranking providers. You can put it any crypto on it. And best of all, not necessarily we're going to ask you to put Ether on it. Like, thanks to our technology, we can allow you to fund and create your account and pay the fees in any token that you want. So if you want to pay everything in dollars, in USDC, in DAI, anything like that, you'll be able to. And I think that's very important for usability, because otherwise it would be like saying, hey, I'm sorry, you cannot use this. So it's like saying, look, I'm sorry, you cannot use this thing that you have euros, but you don't have dollars because all the bank fees are in dollars. So you need to have dollars to pay the bank fees. And I think that's very crazy. And finally, like, just after those two steps, you type your name, put money in, and boom, you're connected on the browser. You can use it directly from the browser without having to do anything. And then, okay, but I didn't type a password, I didn't type an email. How do I connect to a new app? And that's the very cool thing. Behind that, we are giving every user a smart wallet account using Nose Safe. And all you need to do to connect to a new application is just type your name on that other place. And when you type your name, now we know you already have a user. We just ask you to confirm a code in both of them. It's an easy password-less login. And then boom, you are connected in multiple devices. And the idea is that you already own multiple devices. You already own your phone. You already own your laptop. You already maybe you have an iPad. And in every single device, so what we do is we create a security key for every app in every device. So that means that every user will get what is technically called a multi-sig. And you can have multiple, maybe 5, maybe 6, maybe 7 keys very easily, because it is because of that. And now, how are we going to make money out of it, right? So basically, we are, as I just showed, you're using a lot of open source standards, ENS, DAI, Nose Safe. But on top of that, we've built we build relayers, we build ways to keep track of where your users are, and to send them notifications when they have, like when they need incoming transactions and things like that. And we basically sell that premium access. You want to give your users a custom domain, want to give your users a completely white label solution so that they don't even see that everything happens within your brand. And that's really what we are trying to sell. And we've been on mainnet for some time. We've just recoded a lot of our things. Now we are on big three big apps in the Ethereum ecosystem: Quickback, Node Safe, and Jarvis. And we are working with multiple other big name apps to try to integrate our work. And that's it, I think. 5 minutes? Is that right?
Cool.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Awesome. So I really like the simple style of the slides, and that you were the key focus to watch during the presentation, and it brought the presentation to life. And I really like listening to the story you build up, that you were coming from the right background, and that you saw the problem, and that you're now solving it. That's exactly, I think, the right way to approach this, because it allows you to enter a conversation-like style with the investor later on. What maybe I would suggest, if you have, to show is the traction you have regarding the developers, because I think that's, as I understood, but correct me if I'm wrong, is one of the key target groups you're addressing. And you showed the starring on the GitHub, on your GitHub repos, which I think was 271 or so. And maybe you show
you're quick.
Sorry. And yeah, how the pull from the investor developer side is going on, right? Do you and how many developers are starting to use it, and maybe show that traction, or maybe if you have another metric, then you should show it also. Yeah, but other than that, I think it was a very good presentation. Regarding the product, I don't want to go into the technology, but because obviously the authentication is a huge thing that will change in the future, right? Or in the near future. I don't think we will have to deal a lot longer with passwords and usernames and so on. So if you are that solution, that would be great, right? I think you can show it by showing the pull of the market, and the pull of the market would ideally be the developers who start to use your product.
Okay.
And that would convince, I think, a lot of investors to talk to you. Great presentation.
Thank you. I have a question, if I can ask. So you said that you wouldn't want to go into the technical details. That's something important in my presentation, because like one of the feedbacks I got from a lot of people is that it was hard to understand because I was too focused on technical details. So my question is, do you think you were able to understand what the project is without me going too much into that? Using like I'm trying to avoid using jargon and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So that's was my goal.
Yeah, you definitely avoided jargon, which I really liked, and this made the presentation so appealing, right? Because I could see that you were solving a problem and not putting out jargon. And and if you look for an investor, you want to have someone who understands your product and the potential scope you're in. And let's say we're just talking about login and authentication. That's a huge thing. That's a huge market. And investors who are in that market, they will probably already have seen similar products or products that try to solve the problem. So they will understand what you're saying, right? If an investor will ask you the question, what is GitHub? I'm not so sure if that's the right investor, right? So I think you did a good job.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Excellent, Karan. Yeah, the same here. So, because he's had a hard time in the mentor sessions, because these were investors that did not understand it fully, and he was jumping very deep there into the technical details.
Yeah.
One thing I would advise all of you guys, and Alex perhaps especially, let's try and work on the sound. We need to improve the sound of the presentation, your sound, the speaker sound or something. So either get yourself a speaker, or because I don't know if you're doing it now with AirPods or something, maybe that's a bit metallic sounds, a little bit difficult to understand. Okay. So have we done 4 startups already? Yes, we have.
Good, yeah.
Okay, so the Swedish-Finnish company is last but not least. Guys, don't forget to take some notes, and Sven, please take it away.
All right, hello. Thank you very much for having me here. My name is Sven Martinsen. I am the co-founder and CEO of Valega Chain Analytics. So just very briefly start the presentation here. All right. So just very briefly about us. We are a company founded in Finland in 2019. We have been backed up by the Finnish Innovation Fund to pursue the technology we're building, which is a validation solutions for distributed ledger technology. And we would consider ourselves as deep tech and data analysis startup. So what we actually do is to actually provide cryptocurrency exchanges, law enforcement agencies, and financial institutions with smarter tools for anti-money laundering and counter-finance terrorism. The team has been built up by experts in the field. I myself have been working with a lot of digitalization, have been a very big blockchain enthusiast myself. Our other co-founder, Jonathan, has been working with investment banking for a while. And we also have a very heavy leading Nordic expert within fintech, digital assets, and fraud investigations, which is Michael Gromek. And he's also a pretty respected contributor to Forbes relating to these topics. On the tech side, we have our CTO, who's ex-military. He's a software developer for more than 15 years for the public sector, as well as the private. And same goes to our other developer, Mark, who's been working a lot with blockchain and analysis tools and is also very good at forensic investigations. And last but not least, we also have our CFO, Jens, who's from Germany and has been involved in several internationalization projects and is now working with us with not only German markets, a DACH market, but also trying to really internationalize us. So that's basically the team. So why have we come together to build this? Well, in 2018, the EU came out with regulations for money laundering, and it's called the 5 Anti-Money Laundering Directive. And it's a much stricter regulation towards financial companies, and it is really to prevent money laundering, financing of terrorism, and other illegal activities, really to know where your money comes from, and that making the know your customer processes clearer and more transparent. Something that we see in the blockchain sphere is this growth in the past 10 years, right? If we look at Bitcoin alone, the amount of transactions happening are almost ridiculous nowadays, right? Just in the past 24 hours, we have seen over $50 billion worth of cryptocurrencies going through and being traded. So this also plays into the part that we're compliance, right? We work with compliance within these, and we've been seeing that there's going to be a growth of almost 14% a year on these anti-money laundering softwares, amounting to up to $2 billion in 2024. And the amount of tools doing this today aren't that many. They're out there, but we think that our timing is definitely great for this. So to understand a little bit of how things work in a startup today is very straightforward, right? You have your shareholders, you have your operations, development teams, investor relations, and sales and marketing. That's pretty much how a startup works in the traditional sense. Now, try to add fintech and cryptocurrencies to that mold, and you'll see that it's a lot more complex. As you can probably see here, a lot of it plays into compliance, fraud detection, cybersecurity, reporting, sanction screening, crypto-specific compliance, and crypto forensics. That's a pretty big chunk of what is needed to actually stay compliant in today's regulatory world. And that's not so different from banks, except that banks and the financial institutions today don't really know who their actual virtual asset holders are. So this is something that we see quite often. This is an actual fraud that we saw happen just last year. And these frauds are happening on Instagram, Facebook, on the biggest platforms you can imagine. Now with COVID-19, we also see some ransomwares happening. And these are people who are asking for Bitcoin or other currencies in exchange for security, or in this case also products. And what happens is that they will go through an exchange and exchange this into cash, right, at some point. However, these will happen in a bank. This will also go through a bank, and banks have not really been that alerted to this today. So what we have set out to do is actually to educate about this, knowing the potential risks, being able to inform all the stakeholders that this is happening, this is important, and this is growing. We're also out there to prevent, right? And this is by using tools like the ones we have built to verify each transaction that is going through in line with the regulations that we have today. And thus, we feel that we're upgrading the ecosystem in general and working together with law enforcement, tax authorities, and other forensic investigators to really get to the bottom of this so that the whole ecosystem can be upgraded on a global scale. We do have a few competitors out there. What we see ourselves is that we are very user-friendly, low cost, and we have also automated quite a lot. And what have we then built on this? Well, we have built a platform that is connected through an API where you can get automated risk scores on the transactions as they pass through your system, your platform. It is a very vast database with real-time and qualitative data, support for several blockchains, and it even allows you to conduct your own risk assessments depending on what jurisdiction you are in. Not only that, but we can also provide with transaction statistics, view current balance on actual accounts that are happening on the blockchain, on these wallets, which is basically the bank account that you retain on the blockchain. You can auto-generate reports that you can send to the police, and you can really see what entities or what places these account holders have been trading. In this case, you can see that it has been, if you look at the bottom, you see the flags, and this has been on the dark market. It has gone through some other dangerous activities, and this has been reported by the Office of Foreign Assets Control by the US Department. So we have this information on a vast database. For the more deeper learning, the deeper investigations used by, for example, government agencies, cybersecurity professionals, we have also constructed a Pathfinder. This means that you can conduct live investigations on the decentralized transactions, track the flow of assets, get real-time data on what's going on in a very clear way. And this is actually a actual snapshot from one of the investigations we were looking into before. And you can even trace it down to different exchanges and see what it is. And that allows you to be able to contact these exchanges, potentially get the identity of these people, since they hopefully have done this know your customer process, and get to the bottom of things, thus helping the industry evolve, feel like a safer environment in general.
You're heading towards 8 minutes.
Right. So this is actually basically the last slide. So this is what I mean is that once you have this system implemented, you can actually identify the wallets, see what the score is, and actually get to the bottom of how it works. And something that we're working on is actually automating even the investigative part of it, and that is coming for the future. And that's it. And that's basically what we do and how we operate.
All right. Thanks. So, as I mentioned before, I would highly suggest to cut the slides down to the key points. And sometimes I think you have a great product, but it didn't come across because it's at first it felt like a lecture at university with some elements regarding your product, right? And which is great. If we have an hour, we can talk about cybersecurity, and you can tell about the scope of the area you're working in. But for the presentation to investors, where you only have like 4 or 5 minutes, you need to focus on the key function of your product. And ideally, you have traction and show that traction regarding the function and the market. And the market for cybersecurity and for crime investigation obviously is huge, right? There are a lot of great startups in the market which already have billions of valuation, who are known to you, who are in the space. And I might suggest that you show the investors how you either improve it or fit in into that scope. And maybe what you've seen shown, maybe you have already worked with agencies, with banks, and I love that you have shown a real pathfinder slide where you've shown a trace of transactions. And this could be something you can show so that the investor can visualize what your product is capable to do. And yeah, I think you don't need to show the scope of the area you're in. You need to show more the function of your product and the traction behind it. And I think then you will have a great product and a great thing to show, right, to investors.
Absolutely, thank you so much for the feedback on that. It's highly appreciated because, of course, we have been looking from what we did in the beginning to what we're doing now to really see how we're gonna make not only the story work but also what we do, and also not have it as technical as we had it before. So, of course, this is part of how we're doing and learning on how to do. So that feedback is very useful, and we will definitely be able to incorporate that better now.
Sure.
Yeah, I saw your new deck. You sent it, Sven, and I was going to follow up, but we should set up a call tomorrow and go through the slides. So, like Karan said, I'd shorten it and definitely clean up the slides. 10 words max per slide. That's
less.
Even less, yes. So yeah, make yourself the focus of attention.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is there a reason why the team slide, the first team slide, doesn't show the CTO? Because I think the CTO plays a major role in your business. Sorry, you're muted.
Yeah. Why we did it like that was really because we wanted to group the tech people on the one slide, and actually this specific slide was taken from when we were doing this reg tech event, like a regulatory technology. So then we had our tech advisor for that specific part there. So that's why that happened. But of course, we can have for sure a CTO on the top there as well on that slide.
Great. Karan, anything else?
No, I'd just like to thank the startups for their time to present their ideas. I think
before you wrap up, then I'd like to ask you, Karan, we haven't really seen any call to action in the presentations. Would you recommend them to add like a slide, we're currently raising such and such? I'd be happy to talk to you.
Well, the fact that you're presenting on a demo day in front of investors conveys that you are interested in raising money, right? Except for the part where you had a not a Kickstarter but an Indiegogo campaign. There you need to explain, okay, what's going to happen if Indiegogo or Kickstarter goes through the roof? Do I still need an investor, or why would I need so? So this implies it anyways. I think what all of the startups should definitely show is the traction they have created in the last month or weeks. If you have not launched yet, then you should show how fast you have developed, right? If, let's say, a usual startup would take 6 months, during that time, you have developed the same thing in 1 month, right? And that you got feedback or LOEs from such and such potential customer. Because obviously, this is something, attraction, is something the investors need to see and want to see. And as I understood, you're at the end of the second week, you will have 2 weeks to go. Try to sell and get as many potential customers or even real customers as you can in the next 2 weeks. Focus on building, of course, and customer feedback, but also watch your health during that time. I think that's very important that all of the startups need to show. Other than that, it's the usual thing. You need to show what you can do with the money you might raise. take a look at the old Airbnb slides they presented. What they have in there was, one of the slides is that they show with the money they will raise, they can produce such and such revenue in such a time on such a timeline. And I think that was really cool, because obviously as a startup, you cannot reach and the whole market that is out there, but you can reach some of the market and some of the customers in a very short time period. And if you convey this to the investor, and if you create conviction on side of the investors that your team is able to do so, what they plan to do, then you're on a very good track, and you just need to convey it. I mean, it's simply said than done, but that's what I can contribute. Yeah.
The Airbnb slide deck, the first one, is it easy to find on?
Yeah, just Google it, you will find it. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Leon anyway is on it, and he will send it to you guys on the Slack channel.
Maybe if the startups have some additional questions to Karan, maybe
Sure.
that would be a good point.
Quiet.
I was thinking, Karan, because you've seen so many startups during your life, and as you said that, sometimes it is for us also easier to give advice than to execute it ourselves, like the pitch. Yes. But I think when you are, not perfect yourself, then you certainly can relate to people who might have some difficulty with it. But I mean, I'm interested to know. So, what is that excites you? What is it that when you see, you think like, wow, that's a cool thing?
I think it might sound weird, but if someone is really clear at communication, if someone is able to communicate something really complex in a very clear and short manner, I'm usually blown away and want to listen more, and it might be anything. The thing is, with technology, of course, you cannot know everything about every technology, right? And what do I know about if this idea would go through the roof or not? But if someone has a clear communication and has thought deeply about the product, you feel it. And then oh, that's interesting. I want to listen more, and I want to find out what they're doing. So it's clear communication. I think that's a key, what excites me. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's of course easier to get excited about something that you actually think that you understand. So
yeah, of course. And yeah, true.
Also the question, let's say that we remake obviously our pitch based on a couple of your comments. Can we get like maybe a one-on-one for half an hour to show you the new pitch, and then we can maybe do that like next week on a one-on-one, which would be 1 week before the demo day? Yeah. Okay.
Happy to do so, of course.
Thank you so much, Karan. That means a lot. So excellent. I learn every time. I learn so much from you just by having this session.
And what would you do if instead of 5 minutes, you have 10 minutes? What would you change to the slide deck then?
I would definitely shorten it, but I would shorten my own presentation to the minimum amounts of minutes necessary, and I would give the rest to question and answers. Because obviously, the more you say, the more question marks the investor will have, no matter what you say, right? This is just because you don't know what the investor's mindset is or what the key reference points are inside of the investor who's listening. So try to keep the words as short as possible and go into the questions and answers more than your own pitch.
Yep. Thank you.
Great.
And maybe best if Leon coordinates the meetings with Karan. So those who are interested in having the half an hour with Karan, then just please contact Leon, and he will do it for you.
Cool.
Yes. Very good. We don't want you, Karan. I know how busy you are to be overwhelmed. We'll help coordinate these. And as said earlier, I learn a lot from you, so I don't even like to listen to them myself.
Likewise. Yeah, good luck to all the teams. All the best for the next 3 weeks. And yeah, looking forward to see your progress.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great afternoon.
Take
Ciao.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Tim, you can go to commercials.
They're really giving everything they have into the business that they've created and into the community that they are nurturing. And their help and their patience and their enthusiasm was something which is rare and is one of the reasons I think that in the long term they're going to succeed very well here.
I want to thank particularly Maria and Graham, who were great initiatives of this program, and I guess I speak in the name of all participating startups here. Thank you.
I want to say hi to the other countries tuned in. We've marketed this event also in Finland very strongly and in Israel.
I'm going to tell you exactly why, the reasons why you're here and what we're going to get out of the day as well. Please put your hands together for the founder of Accelerator Frankfurt, Mr. Ram Shoham.
Business life, startup life, entrepreneur, it's all about people. Because it is a big day for Accelerator Frankfurt.
I think that it's a wonderful area to actually develop and adopt initial customers.
This feeling that failing is very, very bad. And if you're an entrepreneur, if you want to do something, you have to have the ability.
I think the unique thing that actually Frankfurt brings is this connection with Israel. We all know Israel is a startup hub, you know, like the second after Silicon Valley. And what we want to do here in Frankfurt is really create a vibrant ecosystem. And for that, I think it helps that we have this Israel startup coming to Frankfurt, mixing with their own, with crazy ideas and crazy ways of doing things, with a more stable, down-to-earth, German way, systematic way of doing things.
Banks, VCs, business angels. I think you have the biggest responsibility of nurturing our startup ecosystem. You are the oxygen for the startups.
Maria and Ram, they have a huge background and experience in bringing up startups. So they come from communities in Israel and Finland, where startup is a very strong community and maybe much more active and dynamic than in Germany, and they have brought that spirit to Germany.
No, it's definitely been an outstanding experience, so I would definitely rate it as a 10, for sure.
It would be a 10. Honestly, first program we participated in, but it certainly over-delivered our expectations.
Yeah, this would be absolutely like 100, but if it's